Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spa Babies. Dan Illman along with Mike Beer for a special edition of Spa Babies, graded stakes action at the spa. Let's take a look at the field for the Adirondack. It's race number 8 on Sunday. It's a grade 3. It's a 200 grander, and we've got a big field of 2-year-old fillies. And we'll learn a lot more about the 10 Becky's Joker, Mike, who pulled off a shocker opening day at Saratoga when she won the graded Schuylerville in her career debut. This looks like a tougher field.
It does. Turned out to be a good move by her connections, though, to debut her in the Schuylerville. Things worked out for her there. She actually ran very well, Dan. I'm with you, though. Looks like a tougher race than the Schuylerville was.
She showed some professionalism and tactical speed in that race. Let's see where our friends at Timeform US have her on the Timeform US pace projector. Copper M is expected to show some early speed. She's the 9. Here You Come Again, Saratoga Secret. These are horses that also have some speed. This pace should get fast.
Yeah, it's hard to say what's going to happen early. These are all lightly raced horses. Several of them are very fast early, but there's no denying that Copper M, the 9, in her debut at Ellis Park, she showed high speed that day.
Another horse that went gate to wire is 50-1 on the morning line. That's the one Cara's Time. Let's watch her career debut against fellow New York breds. She is by 22% sire, not this time. Here is Cara's Time. This didn't seem like a very strong field on paper, but Cara's Time did enough to get it done.
Yeah, it comes back a pretty slow race. It is, against fellow New York breds here. She showed good speed from the start. She was able to clear the lead before that field got into the turn, Dan. You see her through the stretch here. She's just going to stay on gamely here. She's not finishing that strongly. It's going to get pretty close at the end, but she's going to hold on.
Taking a look at her pedigree, she is by that precocious stallion, not this time, 22% winners. With 2-year-olds, the dam's a half to Bahia Beach, a multiple stakes place dirt runner. The number 2 is Magic Cross. Let's watch her debut. She came from off of the pace to win. She took advantage of quick splits to win at Belmont. Let's watch Magic Cross's career debut. She was dismissed at 15-1. She scored, and she's by the very good young sire, Good Magic.
Yeah, not a bad pedigree here. This filly, just some quicker horses than her in this debut, Dan. They outfooted her to the lead, but she set a comfortable trip right behind 3 of them contesting it. You saw her get clear sort of in between horses in the stretch. She finishes this race off pretty well. I suspect that, being able to sit behind horses early is a benefit to her going into this race because there are other fast horses. She'll be off the pace somewhere.
And she's trained by Bill Mott. Jose Lascano retains the mount. She's by 16% 2-year-old sire, Good Magic. She sold for 6 figures as a yearling. The number 3 is Here You Come Again, one of the expected speedsters up from Ellis Park. A $130,000 buyback by Liam's Map. The dam was fast, a multiple stakes winning Oklahoma bred. It's a solid debut, and she ran real fast at Ellis Park with an 86 buyer for Brad Cox.
She sure did. She looked really good winning that race. She was fast early, Dan, but she was pretty handy too. She didn't take over on the lead. She was happy to sit just off of another horse, cutting that pace. When she took over on the stretch, and that field was pretty stretched out, she took over. The only horse that had a shot at her was the 3-5 favorite, who wound up finishing second. And this filly gave that 3-5 favorite no chance through the stretch. She was pretty impressive.
The number 4 is Bright Work, one of only 2 prior stakes winners in the field and the lone 2-time winner of this group. She is by Outwork. She won her debut at Keeneland in quick fashion for trainer John Ortiz, then came right back to only beat 3 others in the debutante at Ellis.
Yeah, that's only a short field in the debutante. She broke on top that day and just sort of went to the front and won that race, I thought, pretty easily. She was always holding through the stretch, even though it got close. Her debut was probably even a better performance because the favorite in that race sort of put her in tight. And this filly was not discouraged at all. She showed a lot of guts winning first time out, and she improved second time out.
Trainer Wesley Ward, known for success with his 2-year-old first-time starter, so it was no surprise that the 5, Princesa Celina, won her career debut at odds on over a muddy track at Belmont. She looked pretty good doing it, Mike, and the runner-up did come back to run third with a 63 buyer speed figure on the turf. Interesting that Wesley's going to take the blinkers off for this one.
That is interesting. I'll say this, it only gets a 61 buyer, Dan. I would take that with a grain of salt. This filly was never asked to run in this race. She was fine with Leslie's Loot there, who's being left behind a second. That horse is really fast, and she was fine letting that horse cut the pace. You can see her through the stretch. She just galloped in hand all the way to the wire. Very, very impressive debut, and she's bred.
Super impressive. Bought back for $545,000 as a weanling. Princesa Celina really looked good in her debut and has a nice little physique. The 6 is Saratoga Secret, a $200,000 yearling by Arrogate. She won her debut for Mr. Lucas at Ellis Park, and then she ran second in the Schuylerville, showing some good speed that day. She'll likely be close to the pace, and Pedigree says this little extra distance will help. She's a half to looking at Lee, who placed in the Derby at a big price.
Yeah, true enough. The more distance probably not going to hurt this filly. We'll see if she can take a step forward here because it kind of feels like she's going to have to. I appreciate that she has 2 starts under her belt now, so that could also work to her advantage. She was fine winning first time out. She ran well in the Schuylerville. Your call whether you want to take horses out of that Schuylerville or not. This feels like it could be a stronger race.
Here's the 7 Princess Indy winning her career debut at Monmouth Park, going 5/8 of a mile. The pace wasn't very fast. She sat just off. She takes over. She wins easily. I question what she beat.
I have the same questions, but I don't want to knock anything that this filly did in this race, Dan. I really like the way she looked winning it, sitting on the outside, a sharp move off the turn to take it over. She finishes it off. She's in hand under the wire. This is an impressive debut.
Manny Franco aboard for Claudio Gonzalez, and she's got some pedigree. She's a full sister to Super Chow, who's a very fast 3-year-old, and the dam's a half to Karina Mia, grade 1 stakes winning routing, won the Acorn at a mile, but also very good sprinting as well. The number 8 is Streaming Now, impressive debut winner at Ellis Park for Paulo Lobo. Joel Rosario takes them out, a daughter of Super Sire Into Mischief, strong pedigree, precocious pedigree, fast pedigree, beat 2 next out turf winners, and look good doing it.
She really did look good winning first time out. Another race that didn't get a super strong figure. And this filly was basically loose on the lead early in here. She was just faster than those horses. I just think you have to be impressed by the way that she finished that race off. She was really strong through the stretch. She's bred to be a good horse. She looked good winning first time out. They're going to take her right into a stakes race for her second start.
Runner-up from that debut came back, placed second up here in a maiden special. Copper M is the number 9 for Steve Asmussen. Tyler Gaffalione, this is a daughter of first crop sire Copper Bullet. This horse earned a very big speed figure in her debut. She earned an 81 over a wet track. She went right to the front, showed big speed, cleared off to the top, then drew off as much the best. And the biggest surprise was the price. She was 15-1 for Asmussen.
Yeah, it didn't really take any money, but I think, as soon as that race was over, as you watched it, you knew that she was going to be in a stakes race in her second career start, Dan. She was really sharp winning first time out. The race came back fast.
And here's the upset winner of the Schuylerville, Becky's Joker. Gary Contessa took a shot, ran her against more experienced winners, and Becky's Joker looks very professional. You see her in between horses. She has to battle it out in the stretch, and she gets away from Saratoga Secret late. The buyer speed figure only a 75. She seems a little bit green the final 16th of a mile drifting out, but all in all, I think she did some good things. She draws outside the other speeds here. This is a tougher group. She'll be a shorter price.
She'll be a shorter price. She did, I don't think you really want to knock her too hard there, though. Debuting in a graded stakes race is never easy. She didn't break great. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. Maybe she'll get out of the gate a little better this time, too. Again, I don't want to knock the performance. It feels like she's in against some, pretty nice fillies this time. We'll see if she can repeat.
Wide open edition of the Adirondack. Let's take a look at our top picks for our Spa Baby race on Sunday. Streaming Now, very visually impressive in her debut. That race has come back strong. She's got a lovely pedigree, Mike, and she's got upside. I'm going to take that buyer, and you think you should take any sort of buyer speed figure at this point of these fillies' careers with a grain of salt, upward and onward for most of them.
Exactly. I don't care about the figures that they've earned necessarily, particularly the ones that got lower figures. Obviously, the higher figures are a good sign. I don't care about the lower ones, though. I thought a lot of different horses could win here, Dan. I wanted a horse who was going to be a fair price. I think Streaming Now will be. I have her on top. I also liked that Ward filly, Princesa Celina.
Curious to see what we get from Copper M. She showed big speed in her debut. I'm expecting her to be hustled out of there by Tyler. She's going to have to stretch out a furlong and a half while facing other speeds. I really like the Steve Asmussen trained second-time starters. 8537 for Mike, 93410 for me. Good edition of the Adirondack for our Spa Baby Sunday race. Best of luck.